Okay, folks, I used ChatGPT again to try to find me another recipe. I wanted to make a lentil soup. I think I had lentils once years ago, but they're very healthy. So I use green lentils, and now it's done, and we're going to do a taste test. Oh, wow. Wow. So, as we like to say, you've seen how it tastes. Now let's see how we make it. And you guys have the advantage of knowing if it's good or not before I even get to try it. This is another recipe that I looked up on ChatGPT. Before I get started, I'd also like to say I've included in the description, as well as the instructions for the Instant Pot, the instructions for stovetop, so that if you want to use the recipe with the same ingredients, I've also included the stovetop version as well for the instructions. And the Instant Pot I'm using, I had a user that asked a question about what size Instant Pot I was cooking in for one of my recipes. So this is a 6-quart Instant Pot. And today we're going to be making lentil soup. And I got this recipe from ChatGPT today. I'm trying to eat healthier and incorporating a lot of beans. And this is kind of rare for me of making. Actually, no, it's not rare because I have made some bean recipes without meat in them, like the Puerto Rican beans recipe. That's just my favorite. And that I do have a video on that if you want to check it out on the Puerto Rican playlist. But today we're making lentil soup, and I'll just go over what I have for the ingredients here. So here I have 2 carrots chopped up. I have 2 celery stalks chopped up, and I have 2 small onions. You should be using 1 medium onion, but I only had little teeny ones. And I've got 3 cloves of garlic that I've minced up as well. Now in the instructions it tells us to add the garlic afterwards. I don't like to put that in afterwards because this is not going to cook long in the Instant Pot. It's only going to be 10 minutes and then a 15-minute natural release. So I'm going to put all the vegetables in together, including the garlic, and we're going to saute those for about 5 minutes until the onions start to turn translucent. For spices, we're using ground coriander. I actually had to go out and buy that today. It's not something I have in my spice rack because not a lot of recipes call for it. And what coriander is, ground coriander, is actually the seeds from a cilantro plant. So you grind those up and you get ground coriander. I'm also using a teaspoon of cumin, a half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, and a half a teaspoon of turmeric, however you want to pronounce it. We're using a 14-ounce can of diced tomatoes. And the recipe calls for vegetable stock. Look, I'm making a vegetarian dish, but I'd rather use a chicken stock. So here I've got 4 cups of chicken stock, and the flavor is chicken and roasted garlic. And then here I have 2 cups of water, and I have the equivalent of 2 OXO or chicken bouillon cubes. I'm using the powder, so I have 2 teaspoons of OXO powder in there. So there's a lot of salt already in the ingredients, so I'm not going to add any additional salt to it. And the first thing, and we have 1 cup of lentils, let's not forget those. The first thing we're going to do is get this on saute mode, and we're going to start sauteing the vegetables in there with a little bit of olive oil or avocado oil. I know it says olive oil. I'm going to use a couple tablespoons of avocado oil. And then we're going to put these in here, and we're going to start sauteing them. So while those are sauteing, I'm going to rinse my lentil beans out. It's important that you rinse these out, make sure they're nice and clean before we start. I'll bring you back as soon as this is sauteed for a little bit so you can see what it looks like before the next steps. Well, you can hear that frying away or sauteing in this pan, and I can tell you the garlic and the onions smell delicious. I love the smell of garlic when it's cooking and onion. No better flavoring. That's my trifecta for soups. It's garlic, onion, and celery. I like to put in all of my soups. The other thing I did while I was stirring this, I thought, well, the recipe doesn't have any pepper in it. So I put a pinch of pepper, probably the equivalent of a quarter teaspoon. And then we're going to put 2 bay leaves in it as well when it is time to start adding the liquid in. So we've still got a few minutes to go there. We're going to let that cook. And again, I wish I could, as I've said in some of my other recipes, I wish you could smell what I'm smelling right now. It smells delicious. Okay, folks, it's been going for about 4 or 5 minutes there. You can see what it's starting to look like there now. It's really going well. I'm going to add the seasonings to it now and let that go for another minute. I'm going to give that a stir, let it go for another minute, then we'll be right back. Here we go, folks. Look at that. The smells with all those seasonings, very, very good. We're ready for the next step. Let's add the diced tomatoes. Then we're going to add the stock. That sort of stopped that sizzling, didn't it? This stuff is obviously cool. If you've seen any of my other Instant Pot videos, whenever I'm making a soup or stew or anything, I like to keep, I know the instructions say to turn off saute mode and just start pressure cooking. If I'm putting cold ingredients in, I like to bring it up to temperature at least a little bit. So I'll leave it go a little bit on saute. It's going to do the same thing anyway when you put it on pressure cook, but you lessen the risk of getting anything sticking to the bottom of the pan. It's very important whenever you're using the Instant Pot to make sure there's nothing on the bottom of the pan. Otherwise, you're going to get that burn notice. So now that I put the liquid in, I'm just giving that a nice stir. Then I'm going to put in the bay leaves. And let's not forget to add the lentils. So I've rinsed these in the strainer. We're going to add those in. Sorry for the noise. And just stir that up a little bit. Let it get warm. Ooh, that smells good. This is a nice, healthy meal. I had salmon for lunch today that I cooked in the Instant Pot, so I've already had my protein. I had eggs for breakfast. So this is going to be a nice, healthy meal with lots of fiber, lots of nutrients. Beans and lentils, they're very, very good for you. Okay, so we're going to turn that off saute mode. I'm going to move that up to pressure cook. And we're going to set the timer. That's how long it took for me to do the salmon today. We're going to set it for 10 minutes. I'm going to put the lid on. Now, if you have a model that doesn't have an automatic sealing mode, make sure you set it to seal and then start pressure cooking, pressing that on button. So we're going to let that cook for only 10 minutes. Now, the recipe says let it naturally release for 10 or 15. These are a part of the bean family or closely related to it. I'm going to let it go for 15 minutes. I want to make sure that those beans are cooked very well. So we'll be back as it gets closer to the 15-minute mark of the natural release. Stay tuned. Okay, folks, we're at the 15-minute mark. It's time to release that pressure. Cancel. I'm going to press the pressure relief valve. Oh, I'm not going to bore you with that steam coming out, so we'll come back to you as soon as that pin drops. Stay tuned. Okay, folks, the pin just dropped. Oh, wow. Look at that. Let's bring you up to have a look, folks. You're seeing it the same time I am. That smells amazing. First thing we're going to do is dip ourselves up a bowl because I have it all ready. there we have it. Now, obviously, you can see the steam coming off of that, folks. So I'm going to let that cool off, and then we'll be right back to do a taste test. Okay, folks, I used ChatGPT again to try to find me another recipe. I wanted to make a lentil soup. I think I had lentils once years ago, but they're very healthy. So I used green lentils, and now it's done, and we're going to do a taste test. Oh, wow. Wow. Look, that is delicious. It is actually, I've never had a lentil soup before. Like I said, I think I might have had it once. I don't even remember. But this is delicious. Amazing. So you can see, look at the lentils. They're perfectly soft. This only took 10 minutes to make in the Instant Pot. As I said when I was cooking the recipe, I've been trying to incorporate a lot of beans, healthy food in my diet. I eat salmon at least 2 or 3 times a week. That's something that can be cooked very quickly. But this lentil recipe, it used spices that I've never used before. Now, I had turmeric, but I've never actually opened the jar before. It came with a spice kit that I got from Costco. And I actually broke the seal today. I've never used turmeric in anything. But I smelled the spice as I poured it in, and you can taste, even though there's a half a teaspoon, you can get a hint of that. And turmeric is something I've learned is very healthy for you. So this has a lot of healthy ingredients: garlic, turmeric, the lentils itself, very healthy ingredients. I'd really encourage you to try that. As I said also at the beginning, some of you may not have an Instant Pot, so I've also included the instructions to make this on your stovetop as well. So please try it out. If you like the video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you're not already a subscriber. You'll see a little subscribe icon down there. Please click on that and there'll be more recipes. I've also have playlists created for all the different categories, so I'd please encourage you to try. I'm going to have one more bite of this soup because it is good. Delicious. Jamie, signing off.